Hi class. Today I'm going to show you some basic techniques for slab building, and we're going to be doing kind of a DIY approach since we're all working at home during quarantine. So before I start with the clay, I'm going to be making a template so that I can make a small series of pieces that match. You can, if you're making small objects, if you have like an index card or kind of some stiff cover paper, that will work. Otherwise, you can just use a good old cereal box. And if you just break this cereal box down, we're just going to open it up, and then you can have a large kind of stiff chipboard for making templates in. Cheerios a little stale. And I'm going to make sure before I draw it, I want to leave a little extra room around the sides. Okay, let's try that again. And I'm going to be tracing this object, trying to hold it steady as I draw around it. So you do not have to make templates to do slab building, but there are many artists that want to work in series, make a set of cups or a set of bowls, and you want them to match. So having templates allows you to reproduce results, and that's always a good place to start, because sometimes you just don't get the result that you're looking for on the first attempt. So it's nice to have an opportunity to try again. I had said that this cup was 6-sided, but it is not. It is an 8-sided octagon. It just did not count very accurately. Okay, so there is my initial drawing around the cup, and then the outside edge, which has the same width, about 1 inch, going all the way around it. So I'm just going to use scissors, and I'm going to cut out the outside of my template. So what we are making here is we're going to be using the cup as a giant stamp to create shape in a slab. And we're going to cut the actual slab out according to this template. So it'll be like a recessed little dish, which would be a nice little serving dish for like soy sauce, or you can use them as little jewelry dishes. Okay, so I have my template. I have my cup that goes in the middle, and I kind of know approximately where that's going to be. And I'm going to get some clay. I'm just going to tear off a piece for this little dish. And you can, if you do not have a rolling pin, or a wine bottle or something to roll out a slab, you can always just make a little ball and then pound it between your hands into a patty. Now you want to get this about as thick as maybe a Bic pen. So you can just hold that down on the ground next to the slab and see if you've gotten there yet. If not, you can keep pounding it out a little bit more. If you have a tablecloth or canvas or something that the clay is not going to stick to, you can set it on the table and pound it out. I like to do that. And just rotate it as you're pounding so that you're getting it to spread out in a nice even circle. Almost there. If you do not have a tablecloth or canvas or something that the clay is going to stick to, you could work on a cutting board or on your driveway, like on concrete. The clay shouldn't stick too bad to concrete. If you do have a wine bottle or a rolling pin at home, what you can do is I'll just grab 2 little Bic pens, and I have a rolling pin if I want to get it even. And those pens are going to act as little spacers for me so that as I roll across the slab, they kind of help even out, taking out the high bumps so that I get a pretty nice, even little slab to work with. That looks pretty good to me. Okay, next thing is I'm going to use this rib to smooth out the slab. If you do not have a rib, you could use a credit card, would work really well. And I'm just going to drag this across the slab to get it to be smooth and to compress the surface. That will help resist any cracking or warping. And just pull, kind of in both directions, kind of crosshatch with the rib so that you're hopefully evening it out a bit. I'm just going to tap that down a couple last little times. Great. So as long as my slab is bigger than my template, we're good to go. Before I cut it out, I want to introduce some texture into this slab. So you want to look around your house for anything that is a cool texture. For instance, let me see what I got here. Nothing right there. I'm just going to use this little serrated knife. If you have maybe a comb or a nice piece of jewelry or a button or belt buckle, you could stamp this. I'm just going to kind of rake across the surface as nice and even as possible in one direction, and then I'm going to come and rake across in the other direction so that I have a little bit of a waffle pattern on here. And I'm just going to leave that texture on there. Great. So I'm going to use this template, set that down in the middle, and I have my little dollar store knife. I'm going to go ahead, and when I cut, instead of cutting straight down, I'm going to cut at a bevel inward, and that's going to produce a nicer little edge on my dish. So all of these edges, I will try and hold the same angle with my knife. Great. So that last cut, I cut all the way through the slab. All of this gets set aside. And now I have a template cut. You can see the bevel on those edges. Great. So if you have an old pillow, ideally a memory foam pillow, it doesn't actually have to be old. You could just put a pillowcase on top of it that you don't mind putting through the wash. As long as you're working with white clay, it shouldn't stain your pillow at all. So I'm just gonna set my slab right in the middle of my foam pillow. Sorry, yeah, set my slab right there. And I have some plastic wrap. I'm going to tear a little piece of plastic wrap that can cover my slab, like that. You can just rest it right on top. Make sure that it overhangs the slab a little bit in each direction. And then I'm going to take my cup and I'm going to line that up right in the middle. And I'm going to stand up just to make sure that it is lining up from overhead. Looks centered to me. And I'm going to just take one big firm push. And I'm going to pull that cup away. That plastic makes it so that whatever object I'm pressing with does not stick. And now I can just spend a little bit of time. I'm gonna kind of flare this little lip out. So I have my thumb underneath and my finger on top, and I'm kind of curving it so that this lip has a nice edge to it. So the nice thing about these little stamp slab molds is you can use just about anything as your stamp object. They don't interfere with the texture all that much, and you get these nice curvilinear shapes with a nice smooth backside. So because I have my template and I have my cup, all I have to do is roll out another slab. I can use my Bic pens to measure thickness so that my dishes are the same thickness. I used the same tool for making texture, and this way I can make a whole little series of these that can stack together in my cupboard. So that is how you make a little press slab dishes. Thanks for watching.